Hey guys, welcome to Trust in the Drive podcast, episode number 8. And whoa, who is that? It's Christopher Ilderton. It's his first episode with this new face and no mustache. Wow, it's incredible. Today we're going to do a deep dive on councilperson Cyril Jefferson of Ward 1, and we're going to do some comparisons of like a used car salesperson and a politician, and see how they can work well together. I'm excited to get y'all on board. Welcome to Trust in the Drive. How you doing today, man? Welcome to Trust in the Drive.
Chris, I'm good. Appreciate you having me. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much again for taking time out of your busy day. Me and you both are real busy, and it's always nice when we get to kind of sit down and have a conversation.
Agreed.
For y'all who don't know, as I see Cyril all the time, but we're in big crowds of people, and most of the time we're in a rush, and we don't get to catch up like intimately or like talk and like be like real with each other.
Right.
So we're gonna try to do that today, and I love interviewing and talking and getting to know, who you are and what you believe. But so one of the things is you went to St. Andrews.
I did.
Okay, so
Red Raider pride, man.
Red Raiders, go High Point, love it. High Point local. Anytime we can do somebody that's born in this city and become a great professional person like you are and stay in the city, that's a huge success. How do you feel about like keeping the people that are born in High Point staying in High Point and being proud of their city?
Yeah. High Point has an incredible legacy, Chris, and you and your family know that. You guys have spent 100 years plus building an enterprise that is known not just here, but all across this country, the incredible work y'all do. And so you recognize what makes our city so special. And I think when you have this kind of community that produces the way it does, it's not just production in terms of good quality products, but it's also good quality people.
Yeah.
Every son and daughter of our great city, I think, grows up knowing and hopefully believing that this city loves them. And so the hope and goal is that whether they go away to school or they go away to serve or whatever it is, that in some form of capacity, they find it within themselves to give back to the city. And I believe the best way to give back is to make this your home again.
That's right. I love it. High Point people are very proud people.
Yeah.
And I think they should be. We have a great city that we should be proud of. We should be able to promote it. And so we'll touch on more of that in a little bit. I definitely want to focus on what your professionalism is and helping companies become socially responsible, which I think that's a great initiative. Is that the right word to maybe use? Like a great purpose to live for?
Yeah. So our company, Change Often Social Innovation Firm, was founded 5 years ago. And it came really as a result of the work I had done, Chris, working in schools and nonprofits, also working as a man of faith in church and youth ministry. And so I felt called to start the firm several years ago. Really at the same time I felt called to run for office. The kind of origin story that starts this that was picked up in the media some time ago was, I was working with young people who needed help.
Yeah, they do. They needed help bad.
And in all of my years of working with young people, of all the success that we had, you still find there are those who fall through the cracks for various reasons. And whether it's because there's a lack of resources or maybe the right plan wasn't effectuated, perhaps there's some people who need adjusting, whatever it may be, those end up being inhibitors to that young person's success and inherently becomes inhibitors to a community's collective success. And so the firm and my calling to run for office, to be on city council now, was about how do we build better community? How do we build capacity in the people that make our community so great such that we can improve lives and solve what I would consider really robust social and economic challenges?
Yeah, it's definitely intertwined. Yeah. The business leaders that are in this town right now have the opportunity to really change some people's lives.
Yep, absolutely.
And I try to take advantage of that every day. Unfortunately, we have some folks that we, have come into our business that don't really follow our core values of our company, and they don't get to continue working for our company.
And I'm glad y'all stand by that too. By the way.
We got to. You
gotta stand for something.
It's a part of our brand. It's a part of our purpose to be here in High Point. part of our Ilderton core values is having like integrity, being, dependable, trustworthy, neighborly, all these things that are the words behind me right here that represent my last name. Those are things that you come into businesses and try to create if they don't have it, right? So you're like a consultant for a company wide. You'll maybe job shadow some people for a little bit. What's the week 1, week 2 of you coming into a company looking like?
I think the most important thing is to come in and first listen and understand.
Yeah.
So you can dissect the problem clearly. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna use a metaphor here for a second.
Perfect. Yeah.
So kind of like with cars, and I don't pretend to be an auto mechanic,
Okay.
but with cars, a good car mechanic is not just gonna, have you pull up to the lot and say, man, we've got problems doing this. And they say, you know what? It's this exactly. And if that mechanic does that, they just want your money.
Exactly.
Because a good mechanic is gonna say, it could be a number of things. But what we first need to do is get it back here, run some kind of diagnostics check.
You got it.
And figure out where the issue is going. Maybe we do some level of assessment, which could cost a price. But if the assessment yields a repair that we can also do for you, we'll build that in to the repair price, right?
I love it.
And we want to make sure that you get some level of warranty on that.
Yep.
It's similar in the work that we do. We want to be able to diagnose and dissect what problems are. And after knowing that, be able to help you construct a plan that can be sustainable.
If you do want to become a service advisor at Ilderton, you would be welcome to work there at any point. No, we that is a great description of how we want to take care of our customers, and I think it's a really great analogy that you put together just now. There is no exact answer that you can put down immediately, but it is a culture that you can try to create, and sometimes it's going to take some time.
Absolutely,
take some years, maybe.
Absolutely.
Even. So fortunately, we have that. I spoke to you about this beforehand, and you said, Ilderton's got a pretty good culture, pretty good core values. I do like to promote that at our company. We work really hard to do that. What are some other examples of business leaders or businesses in High Point that do some of the same things that the Ilderton core values do? HBU or who else?
Yeah. So when I think of corporate social responsibility, folks who, number one, offer good gainful employment to their workforce, ensure that they can take care of their people. People make the world go round. And ultimately, a lot of the challenges that we're trying to address in communities and in government and in our firm and wherever you go, we're trying to address challenges that ultimately impact people, and also challenges that in most cases are created by people. And so companies who take time to invest in their people, who take time to really learn about their people and ensure that they give their people what they need, the tools to do the job well, that's something that you want to respect and hopefully emulate. And so Ilderton's one that comes to mind. High Point University comes to mind. I think not only that, I think about what Dr. Peters is doing with Bethany and all of his conglomerates in terms of Peters Development and so many things there. I think about Old Dominion and our friends with the Condon family.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many more. Stratagon, the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, we are blessed to live in a community where so many organizations are committed to being responsible entities in what they do, and not just in the sense of their workforce. The final thing I'm saying this, it's also in how they give back and invest into their community.
Very true. Very true. I love that. Yeah, I mean, if somebody has let go of their company, all of those companies that you just talked about, they wear it and they say, I failed that person.
Yep.
They truly do feel like that. I know the people that run those companies, and I feel like that. If somebody is, let go of our, company or doesn't make it because they can't fit into the culture, it's because, I didn't maybe work better, as best as I could for them. Or I do really feel that I have to push them to become a better person, and that's hard to do. I know the Condon family does that. I know HBU tries to do that. And a lot of people that Ilderton works with tries to do that. And I think that's amazing that you're coming in and being a helping hand in that process, because it's not easy. It's very hard to do.
Not at all. Well, and think of it this way, right? You run a business, and at the end of the day, you still have a bottom line. And so many times in the short term, we think about efficiencies that help us reach that bottom line. And so we make short-term decisions that have long-term ramifications. And so what we tell folks is investing in your people may feel like the least efficient thing to do in the short term, but what it does is it pays dividends in the long term, because you have the kind of culture that you need. You have less turnover. and you have folks who produce great products and services that your end consumer really appreciates.
That's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do is try to get someone who doesn't believe in that, try to believe in that. And it's a challenge, and I'm going to fight every day to try to keep it going. And I know you are too.
You know, Chris, if I could go back for a moment, because our firm, what we really enjoy doing is ensuring to recognize folks who do incredible work, who operate in a space of inclusion, who operate in a space of accessibility.
Yeah.
To recognize, again, what I said earlier, people make the world go round, but people come in all shapes and sizes. And so the work that Ilderton's doing, the conversion work that you guys are doing in terms of ensuring that vehicles can accommodate folks with different abilities and special needs. You know, I imagine that when that work began, you know, there wasn't an incredible market for that, but there had to be someone to say, listen, there are people who want to drive, and right now they're being held back from that. And as small as that seems to someone, that's a big deal, dude. Think for a second. We live in a world that's made up in incredible places and incredible people. But the only thing, and most times, that keeps incredible places and incredible people from connecting is folks' accessibility to get from place to place.
Totally.
And so Ilderton helps mitigate that.
Yeah.
Ilderton says, hey, regardless of who you are, regardless of abilities, regardless of where you come from, we want to ensure that we can connect you from place to place. And to me, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Ilderton Conversion Company, they want to understand that problem so much so that they want to be as involved as possible to give that person accessible vehicle. There's so many stories my dad had growing up that he would go to these people's houses because they couldn't even come to our dealership to look at a vehicle to purchase so that they could go to the grocery store, so that they could go to the doctor's appointments. You know, he worked so hard to build this company, and he loved it. He worked it with a passion because he was so passionate about people wanting to be able to live a normal life and just to live a happy life. And who doesn't want to drive down the road with the windows down and the country music blasting on a good, like on a nice day? Like I've gotten to see people do that for the first time at 40 years old. You know, they're sitting down, driving down the road, hanging out, driving the car, trusting the drive. Like it is so cool to see somebody have that aha moment for the first time. Thank you so much for pointing that out. And shout out to Tim Ilderton for doing that. Like that's
shout him out, man.
That is his baby, and he does such a good job of building that company up, and I'm just so proud of him for doing that. And same with my sister Catherine. Like shout out to her. Like that is her realm now. My sister Catherine she's
doing that work.
The general manager of that company, and we've got divisions in Charlotte and Asheville and Charleston, and it's taken us so far. It's taken us all over the Southeast United States. It did start in High Point though.
Right here in High Point. Cool. You know, High Point is where things are made. Yeah,
they are. It's innovation at its finest.
I love that, man.
Okay, so we'll transition a little bit more into what do you think is like your performance review on yourself? Like if you were to sit back and interview yourself, where do you think you fell short this past year, and where do you want to be at next year? What are some of your goals? I know you're a very motivated person, and you have tons of aspirations. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, you know, probably much like yourself, Chris, we get busy doing work, and we focus so much on doing the work, and we probably don't do enough communicating out about the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
My only regret is that in this past year and in the past 3.5 years of being on council, that, you know, the incredible work that we've been doing to build the city, to help it grow, to revitalize and ensure that those who live here, who invest in it, who serve, who play, who go to school, who retire here, ensuring that they can understand a lot of those decisions. And it's mostly just a matter of, you know, 120,000 people in the city. Folks have lives with plenty of things to do. Not everyone gets to come to city council meetings or read the newspaper or hear about the big thing going on. But when things do happen and things rumble up to the surface, sometimes you get a version of a story that you may have just heard, you know, wherever you could be. And so one of the problems that I think we're constantly trying to address is how do we communicate thoroughly, and how do we ensure that the message comes through in a way that folks can receive it, can digest it, and do something with that information.
Yeah.
And so, not that we would want to spend so much time communicating about the work and marketing ourselves that we can't do the work. I think I'm going to always, err on the side of doing the work.
Right.
But if we can find a way to do that work and communicate out about it so that way folks can see and understand it, I think it helps move the needle on the confidence that people have and where our community is going.
Yeah, being that is a hard thing to do sometimes, being transparent, being truthful, and assured that I guess it's not a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing for the person on the other side to understand. And the way you can do that is by always being transparent and being truthful. And sometimes they'll believe you and sometimes they won't. And I know the city of High Point and all the city council people that I deal with all the time, they're extremely forward and extremely transparent. There is going to be people though they're going to try to tear you down or try to change the conversation or narrative. And it's a tough job. It's a tough gig. We got tough gigs to work on. So if Ilderton Trust in the Drive podcast or our social media can ever make sure that the city is getting represented as best as possible, like we want to be an advocate for the city. The city has helped us tremendously grow and prosper for 97 years now, which is incredible that we've been doing business in this town for that long.
Chris, pause for a second.
Yeah.
How do you feel knowing that in 3 years you all will have done a century's worth of service?
It's a big deal.
And selling products and giving end consumers what they need to get around and see their families. I mean, a century of that.
100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like pinch me because I'm dreaming, because I'm still like the conversation started maybe at 75 years when we started doing it. That was when the first conversation that I was ever like remembered, and never did I dream that it would be 100. It really up until 95 came, and I would say like 100 is just the new beginning. Like I want it to be like 150 years now, And then Tim, my dad is he's just a very humble person. Like he's definitely excited about it being 100 years. The community gives us the opportunity to stay open. It's not that, we've done this amazing job and it's all on us. Like the community wants to buy cars from us and they want to sell their cars to us, and they want to bring their cars to get oil changes, and they believe in us.
Right.
And that when you think about it like that, it's our duty to stay open. If we don't, we're going to be taking away the opportunity for somebody to do business in a just like a legit way, in an incredible atmosphere. It's hard to believe that it's going to actually be 100 years. I mean, we'll have to make it big. Yeah. We'll have to do some sort of like ribbon cutting, fireworks. Yeah. It can't be like too classy though, because we're still a car dealership. You know what I mean? Like it's got to
stay on brand.
We got to stay on brand. Like it can't be like a wine and cheese party. It's got to be like a big old hoedown. You know? Like country music, big stage.
Hoedown. Okay.
There's these funny stories over 100 years that I've heard from, talking birds in the showroom, to customers coming by to see Santa Claus during Christmas. I mean, these folks come out from the community when I'm out eating with my family, and they tell me these stories. They're like, I remember going down to Ilderton Dodge back in the 60s, and y'all had the coolest Santa Claus ever. And I was like, that is crazy. Like that people feel like they that I was a part of their lives, like that the business that I'm running is a part of their lives, so much so that they want to like tell me about it. I just think that's incredible.
Yeah. You look at businesses and entrepreneurship and you think about America, and I think that what better way to epitomize not only the American promise and dream, but the very fabric of our American DNA. I think so much of it comes from the fact that you have businesses within our communities who choose to provide a reasonable service and product to consumers. Services and products that consumers need, and you're able to do it according to demand. And I think that when businesses choose to do that, it's hard to find things that are more noble, because it's quite a challenge being in business. It's quite a challenge running businesses. But when you stick to it for 97 years and soon to be 100 years, it says a lot about fortitude, about character, about stick-to-itiveness, if I can just say that, about grit, determination. So
it takes a lot to to really gain a customer, and it's even easier to lose one. Like I would say in my like experiences being in the service department, like we can get oil on somebody's steering wheel and lose that customer forever because they felt like they weren't treated fairly, and that is their right. Like they paid for a service and it wasn't completed properly. So that it kind of stands out to us that we strive to perfection, and it's not always perfect, but we definitely strive for perfection.
Yeah.
Like walking a customer to their car after they've gotten service from us. Just the handoff, just to be like, here's your automobile, here's your transportation, like please continue to go on with your life and live a happy life. Like that is something that we're proud of being able to do, and we're just happy people come in and talk to us and want to do business with us.
Let me ask you this question. I know I'm reversing the roles
here. Yeah, what's up?
I think I'm podcast host.
Yeah, I love it.
At Change Often, we live by this saying from Winston Churchill: to improve is to change, to perfect is to change often. And I think about what you said there about, hey, how do we strive for perfection? And much like when we use that quote I just said, we know there's no such thing as being perfect.
Right.
But to strive for that, right, is really what you're aiming towards. And really, that's what consumers appreciate about good businesses, is that they're always trying to perfect what they do. But you don't do it without constantly changing and growing and getting better at what you do. From where you sit, and again, I know you've not experienced the whole 97 years, but
right.
The time that you have experienced, I mean, how have you seen you guys grow in that way?
So I think it's like the car business in general was like, okay, here are the rules, and like here's how the customer needs to obey. And now it needs to be more like, can we invite you in and tell us how you would like to purchase this car so that we can accommodate you more?
Yeah.
And trying to change that image is harder, and also trying to change that culture in your company is hard. So just because you believe in it, like myself, and that kind of motto of doing business doesn't mean that everyone you work for, everyone's just going to adopt it immediately. There'll be we used to always do it like this, and that to me is like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Just because we always did it like that.
Just because we always did it.
Needs to be the solution now.
If someone brings that up in our leadership meeting or one of our sales meetings and stuff, I'd shut it down fast. I shut it down fast. I said, what does the customer want? What does the customer need? And how can we be more inviting into them to like make the experience better? Right. So that's probably my biggest challenge, but also biggest accomplishment over the last year working at Ilderton Dodge is like getting people to believe that that it's like the salesperson or the service advisor or the sales manager, it's not just their way or the highway. It's like, okay, let's listen to what the community wants and let's act fast on it and, get them a vehicle or get them a oil change that they want.
Yeah. I love it, man.
And it's
evolving and changing. You can argue it's nature's moral imperative that if we don't keep growing, then we inevitably won't be here.
Yeah.
And to be here 97 years, if you'd have never told me that story, I would have known for a fact somewhere in the logs of y'all's history, there's been evolution, there's been change, because you don't make it 97 years doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. I truly believe the future of the car business is going to be like, hopefully we're like a place where vehicles are stored and stocked and like we can service vehicles, and then someone calls in and you have like an iPad, you take all their information and then you deliver the car to them, and they have like financing terms, like everything right there, and then show you what the vehicle is, and then like hand you the keys, and then you take back their old vehicle and just try to make it like as clean as possible, just like Amazon does. Like Amazon does a great job. Like all you do is go on an app and click a button, it shows up at your door in 2 days. And if we can adapt that in the car business, we're going to be alive for 150 years. Yeah. We're going to be able to do that.
You might not want that in a recording. Some of your competitors might steal that idea.
Yeah. that if whoever masters that idea, I'm going to work for them so I can learn how to do it and then implement it at my dealership so that I can do that. No, it is. The car business is cool like that, where they all like it's a very collaborative group.
Okay.
We share a lot of
didn't know
ideas and we're very friendly with each other. Yes, we all want the greater good for the community. I mean, every car dealer I know that's in town, Greg York,
Burt Cheese over at
the Bird Cheese over at Crescent Ford. There's just a ton of like community efforts and giving back to the community with that group. Like they believe in the city too, and so they just want their customers to stay with going to dealers. Like whatever brand you like, make sure you go to that brand and make sure you go to that dealer, and like you're gonna get the best experience. And they want to like they hold that like it's like a shield of honor, like you've been like knighted, you know. Like we're very fortunate, we're very lucky that we have these manufacturers that like Jeep, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, you know, they back us so that so we can give a good product to their community. But I'll let you know when they do let us start you know, just handing out keys and just DocuSign and stuff. It's I think we're a long ways from that. There's a little bit of a thing called the government. They like to also know what's going on.
Oh, do they?
You know, and they gotta have their like check of approval to make sure that everything's all good, which is a good thing. We love the government. We have no issues. The government's helping us stay in business. You know, we sell to all the government agencies, so we just want to be a part of the process. But one day, it's things are going to be moving real fast in the way you sell cars, and I hope we can adapt it. I don't want people to come in and sit in our showroom for 4 hours and you know, just wait on their car to get ready. So, but well, great. That was a great answer too. I love that. All right, so what's on your summer reading list? I love reading books. Do you have anything that you want to share with me? I'm always trying to add to it.
So Barack Obama, when he came out of his presidency, he didn't immediately release his first book, or third book it would have been, I think. His wife, I think she did hers first.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, she got to roll it out with the big tour, and it was awesome. And then Barack's Promised Land came out, but it came out during the pandemic, so it was kind of quiet. He didn't get to do the same book tour and everything. And so surprisingly, I don't know a ton of friends who have it. If they do, I
don't have it.
mean, it's like an 800-page book, and I'm probably 300 pages in.
It's a big one,
but it is awesome.
I like Barack's latest Netflix documentary that he put out about the 3 levels of like working class.
Okay.
He does this like, you know, somebody who's maybe like working for the city and they have like a minimum wage job, or they're also trying to get above minimum wage, and some of the things that they have to go through. And he walks into their home and he sits down with them and he interviews them and he gets like really personal with them. And then it just goes up the ladder with like the general manager of one of like the nicest hotels in Chicago, and he sits down and interviews him. And he talks about how hard his job is, and he's just tries, you know, all he's doing is trying to connect people together and just, you know, grow that empathy for each other. And
I love that.
He's good at that.
I love that.
He's good at uniting.
He always has a good way, I think, of tapping into those stories to help us all understand, and as we human to human can empathize, as you said, hopefully we can make better decisions, not only in government, not only in business, but just in general, person to person. Can we make better decisions to help one another out and build a better world? And that's the goal.
That's awesome. So, okay, so what kind of car are you driving? What's your favorite car?
I drive a GMC Yukon Denali XL.
Nice. That's a good car. So that's a competitor's car of the brand that I represent.
Okay.
So we would have the Grand Wagoneer.
Okay.
Would be the like competitive vehicle.
It's like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It's got the big, I guess towing, towing,
yeah.
And then you've got in the back, what's it called, a tailgate? What's the parked car in the back? It's not a trunk.
There's a trunk, the tailgate.
It's called a tail. Yeah, when you lift it up, you can like.
You got a ton of room in the back.
Tons of space.
Yeah, 4-wheel drive or not, maybe 2-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It's
V8.
It's a V8. Yep.
Okay.
They have the Grand Wagoneer has 2 versions. They got a V6.
Okay.
It's a twin turbo. It's got about 520 horsepower, which is a ton. And then there's the 6.4 liter Hemi, which is a lot. So it can tow up to 11,000 pounds.
Okay.
So if you're towing like a big camper or something and you want to
Yeah.
have your family with you inside while you're doing the camper,
Yeah.
it has been incredible. So this is a new product that Jeep offers, and you would be amazed at how hard it is, what they call conquesting it. Conquesting someone out of a Denali into a Grand Wagoneer, or taking someone out of like a Tahoe and putting them in a Grand Wagoneer.
Okay.
It's like once you've been loyal to a brand,
You're just there.
you just kind of stick with it.
Yeah.
And I've found that that's like the biggest challenge that Wagoneer is facing right now with getting more clients in their cars, because they want to sell them. Like we got 6 or 7 in stock right now.
Okay.
And
I
we
need to
would
come check it out is what you're saying.
Yeah, come check them out. Come check them out. Take it for the weekend. We got this 24-hour test drive thing going on, where we're really inviting people to come take the car, go on a family trip, see if it works for you. And if you come back and you like it, then we'll,
Yeah,
we'll
I
go
was
from
going
there.
to say, it's more than just me. It's my family's got to love it.
It's a big decision.
My boys, I think my wife Raven calls it the bus.
Yeah.
Because the first day I pulled up with it, and just the sound of the V8, and then whenever we take family trips, folks want to ride with us. I mean, we comfortably sit 7, and so I'll tell you, if we were to go to anything else, it would be like, hey, it's not just me test driving it. Everyone's got to test drive it. The boys want to know that the TVs work. Raven wants to know that the seat warmer works. You know what I mean?
The plug-ins, all the stuff, all the AC.
Sure it's all good. Yeah.
Yep,
Oh yeah.
So that's the way the car business is going. I think it's great. People need to test the product to make sure that it fits their lifestyle. With the financial decision to purchase a car right now, is like I hope you can go through it with your family.
It's tough.
Anyone having to bear that decision on their own, that's a tough gig, because cars are getting expensive these days, and the Grand Wagoneer especially is it starts at around like $60,000 and then can get upwards to about $100,000. So, but you get a lot with those vehicles. Yeah. So I want to flash back to dad life though. So you just talked about dad life. So you're a dad. Yep. You're a great dad. Yep. I see you.
I try my best.
I see you out there being a good dad. I'm a dad too, so I got love for the dad life. Yeah. How does it? What's your favorite thing about being a dad? What's your Saturday morning? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The question was that I forgot to tell you was, what's your Saturday morning looking like when you wake up?
It varies depending on the time of year.
Okay.
And the age of our boys. So right now, Cyril and Royce are 6 and 5 respectively. Cyril will return to 7 here in a few short weeks. And so what Saturdays looked like a few years ago look different than now, right? And so if it's fall and spring, Saturdays we're getting up to go to soccer practice and to a soccer game likely.
Okay.
During wintertime, we're getting up and going to a basketball game at the YMCA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they play at the YMCA, Hartley YMCA, right out here in town off of North Main. Summertime Saturdays look a little different, right? We may go out to the farmer's market with the boys, or take them out bike riding, or take a day trip out to the lake, or maybe out to Hanging Rock and do some hiking with them.
Yeah.
So it's cool during the summertime because the Saturdays get to go a lot slower, and there's not as many of the youth sports and things of that nature.
That is a very active dad life. I didn't even think about that dad life because mine are only
I was gonna say,
2
aren't
3 years
yours
old.
younger? Yeah.
I guess I'm young.
So when I had 2 and 3 year olds, that wasn't the dad life. When they were younger, we had to find different things to do.
Yeah.
So I think your question was going to go into what's my favorite thing.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to do?
As ages change, it evolves. So now that the boys are older, my 6-year-old can ride his bike really well. He can sit down and ride, stand up and ride. He can ride through the neighborhood, ride on the greenway. So I like to get out on the bike and go riding with him now. I love that.
I love riding
I also love throwing a ball, tossing the ball with them in the yard. Love doing puzzles with them. Love hearing them talk through something that they're working on in school. I love that because now they can have conversations. A few years ago, they couldn't have conversations.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing to do just might have looked a little different back then. I can't remember. It feels like ages ago, but it was only a few years ago.
I'm hoping my kids can have some more focus and some more intentionality with the way when we speak to each other, because now it seems like
2 and 3, man.
It's 2 and 3 years old, and we're just it's hard to get their attention. They're going so fast, and being able to do activities like that is something I cannot wait for. I'm so excited for that. Yeah. Our Saturday mornings are goofing off in the living room, and then trying to maybe go out to eat or something.
Yeah.
And going to the park. Like
Dude.
that's like our biggest like thing is just trying to do those 3 things. And if we can do those 3 things and everybody like stays alive and like doesn't get hurt, like I'm doing good.
Dude, when they're toddlers, it is such a field trip to do anything. Whenever folks are like, yeah, man, just bring the kids. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. I got to have diaper bags. I got to make sure I got to change their clothes. I got to think about nap time. So if you ask me to come somewhere, I got to come like at 3 o'clock or I got to come before 12 o'clock because at 12 is lunch and nap time. It's like you're thinking of all these thoughts. I mean, it's literally a lot of work to work with toddlers. So God bless you, man. Trying to run a business and have toddlers.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I got to jump to a funny story about that because it is like the most like I do think there's some age of like forgetness, like where like my sister's like in her 40s now and she has like a 14 or 15-year-old.
Okay.
And so she'll forget what it's like to have a 2 or 3-year-old. And so like we're on the plane, which if you're ever excited to bring 2 toddlers on an airplane, please be my guest. Like I will pay for your ticket to take care of them. But anyways, we just recently did this. We went on summer vacation and my sister Catherine is like, oh, I'll just change her diaper like right here in the middle like of the cabin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like no way. Like could you like that is not like that would be crazy. Like and she just had forgotten what it's like to travel with kids and I just like hopefully one day I'll forget because it is a struggle. It's not something that I'm like always like just super excited to just like show up. Like we like to keep it easy street, like
keep it
park,
simple, man.
Living room, maybe a restaurant, maybe if we're feeling like really lucky. But
maybe some family's house, but outside of that, man, it's tough.
Yeah, we try to just corral them all together in the living room. And so all right, so Raven is your wife. She is a rock star. Raven's into a couple of different things, right?
She is.
Yeah,
and I got a shout out. Yesterday was our 9th wedding anniversary.
Oh, good man.
So
happy anniversary.
Blessed to have been married 9 years, and we started dating 11 and a half years ago.
Cool.
So I got to tell you, I'm twice the man I was 11 and a half years ago because, well, she was the other half of me, and I had no idea.
That's amazing.
So I got to go ahead and get that out the way.
Yeah, it's huge, man. They trudge the road literally for us, I feel like. And, like, I could be nothing without my partner, Tori.
Yeah. Well, and I tell folks all the time, if Raven was the candidate that you were voting for, it'd be so easy.
Yeah, slam dunk.
It'd be so easy. I wish she could be the candidate for me, right? Because she get votes easily.
She is a rock star. So you're running for mayor.
Yep.
That's a big deal. Yep. That's going to be a huge deal.
Yeah.
And to be a wife. So how was that conversation? Yeah. Like, how did that go about? Let's hear.
So transparently, when I first ran for council, I thought it was a tougher sell than when I told I was running for mayor. And here's why. When I was running for council, neither one of us had known what it's like to be in public office. We'd worked in nonprofits and, public school, as I said before, being teachers and working with communities and schools, things of that nature. And so when I said, hey, the Lord's laid on my heart for service to community, she said, I mean, that sounds great. I think you'd be great at it, but, we got 2 young boys,
right,
and a mortgage and this and that. Like, how are you going to juggle all this? And I said, I'm one of those people, just a man of faith that believes if the Lord lays something on your heart, granted, you have to put a lot of work in, don't get me wrong.
It's a ton of work.
But he's going to guide you. He's going to order your steps. He's going to open some doors. You got to trust him. You just got to lean on that faith. And sure enough, going into it, winning the election, then getting in doing the work, she began to see the impact of that work, to be able to say, oh, wow, I see now you being in the seat and what you set out to do at the start of the term and the incredible work that's happened. I mean, you talk about the soccer team coming here to town.
It's huge.
Like, those early stories, most folks don't know it, but myself, Brian Gavigan, even before my good friend Megan came aboard, those conversations we were trying to do to bring soccer here, and then going and chatting with Megan, and Megan making that bold decision, her cousins Matt and Mark Penley, and then the rest of the investors. Like, that was work that I was in every day, every week. That's why you still see me emceeing all the press conferences and all the parties that they do, because from the very beginning I've been there. But that doesn't happen without trying to push to be in this role that I am. And now or even High Point by Design, like this what I have here, and this vision of being able to ensure that this city that has a great legacy of home furnishings and design, that we can make a year-round activation effort around that,
Yeah.
which is a part of our citywide revitalization effort too.
Right.
And so, like being in the seat and doing that kind of work, Raven sees the impact. So then when I told her I was running for mayor, for her it became about, okay, this allows you to take the impact you've been doing and do it on an even greater scale, and hopefully be able to find a way to, you know, continue to push that message. So many of the things that we've been talking about today, right? Regarding social responsibility, regarding how you provide good products and services to people, regarding how you make sure to make good investments,
Yeah.
thinking about businesses that have been here 97 years and how do you ensure that they can be here another 97 years, right? It takes a lot of work to do that, and ultimately, just the confidence that she has, that I have, and other folks who are with us have, is that we don't have to be perfect.
No.
But as long as we're willing to grow, keep making those changes, keep making good, smart decisions, and be committed to it, then together, not one-on-one, not as individuals, together, we can realize a great vision for the city.
Dude, I love the fire. I love the enthusiasm that you. I mean, it sounds like you and Raven are ready to rock, and that is awesome. Because that's what it's going to take. It's just a ton of effort, and especially if God called you to do that, like that's amazing. Like let's go. Like I love that. And we and good luck. I mean, like just keep that enthusiasm alive. Just it's gonna be a tough road, and I cannot wait to just see some of your successes.
I appreciate that.
It's gonna be cool.
Chris. Seriously.
All right. So do you think you'd ever drive a hybrid vehicle?
There's a huge part of me that absolutely says yeah.
Yeah.
Hybrid, maybe even fully electric.
Fully electric, yeah.
You talk about responsibility earlier.
Yeah.
And thinking about the world we live in, our environment, thinking about global warming. These are things we can't negate. These are things that I just think, you want to be a responsible citizen in the world. And ultimately, at some point, making that transition, I could see it happening. At the time in which we got our GMC, it's a big 7-passenger. You start talking about having multiple kids with multiple car seats, traveling every day. I also, as I said, used to work in schools and in nonprofits. And so having to give kids rides home after band practice, things of that nature. It was a useful utility vehicle, and still is a very useful utility vehicle. But I have a lot of respect for what's happening with hybrid vehicles, what's happening with electric vehicles. And I think, the plans that are in place to kind of transition, hopefully these are good, responsible plans, and that the experts who know how to do it, you guys who are involved in automotive dealerships, as well as people who understand the environmental impacts, that, we continue to work together to figure that out.
So that's I love the hybrids. I think I'm going to endorse it as a dealer. I think they have a purpose in our economy and in our city. So there's like 150,000 people that live in the city. How many people? 100, something like that?
So in city proper, inside our city limits, 120,000.
Okay,
but right on the periphery and the margins, you get to that 150. Even if you go out a little bit more, greater High Point's like 200,000 people.
So that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. So right now I'm driving a Jeep Wrangler. It's a plug-in hybrid.
Okay.
So I can plug it in. I get 30 miles of range, and then it turns into a hybrid. So it charges up. It's one of the products that Stellantis, the manufacturer, came out with. I think it's great. If we were to sell, 20% of these, so like if we sold 3,000 cars, a year, and 20% of those cars were all electric or hybrid cars, so our community members, I do think we would have a little bit of a struggle.
I agree
with getting everybody charged up.
I agree. Yeah, the point you're bringing up is in regards to our electrical infrastructure.
And I don't think we're alone. I think other cities in the United States are struggling with it too.
I think it's across the entire world, if I can just be honest.
Yeah, probably.
I think that you start talking about usage of electricity across the world in every community for different reasons, and investing in that infrastructure.
Yeah.
But doing it again with the good information, right? Talking to our friends at Ilderton or other car dealerships and saying, hey, what is the trend? Do you anticipate you're going to keep selling this at this rate? What will that scale up to at some point? And then talking with our folks at the city and the folks who do our electricity to say, do we have the kind of grid that can sustain that?
Yeah.
And I can tell you, we're not at any risk right now, and for the foreseeable short-term future, we're fine. But we are having the conversations about, after the next 10 years or 20 years from now, or even 30 years from now, what does our infrastructure need to look like in order
Yeah.
to support that?
It sounds like you're doing a really good job of like just advocating for our citizens and like making sure they stay safe. Like I think Northern California got caught off guard with some of their infrastructure. And so you see their market went up to like 40% electric vehicles. And next thing you know it, their power's going out.
They're having all these blackouts.
And they're having all these blackouts. So there is a bit of, awakening that we need to understand what's going to happen when we do sell all these electric vehicles. You are going to want to charge them. We want to educate them as a, local business and as a local dealer. Like I want to educate the consumer as much as possible. So I think it's cool that we can have this joint effort and let this happen in our city. Like we want this to happen.
Agreed.
And it's going to be tough though, but we got this. It's going to be all good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think that's it, man. I think we're good. I know you got a lot of stuff rolling.
I've enjoyed this.
This has been really nice.
Seriously.
We'll have to get you back on next season, and you'll be one of our first recurring guests.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm excited, man. Chris, thank you.
Thank you so much.
See you, man.